Alright, I've already made a video on this, but I kind of feel a little guilty because I did everything in Desmos. I'm just going to make sure you guys know how to do it by hand. I did one problem by hand, but just want to make sure you guys understand what it's asking. Now, when it says what is the y-intercept, basically you just need to know that your x value has to be equal to 0. So we have a table here, and I just want you to be able to keep going on a table. It's super easy if you just kind of look at the table and you see what's happening in the table. Okay, so I'm just going to write my numbers down. And by the way, it's very important that you write the correct numbers down. If you don't, then you will totally mess up. Now, I don't know if you guys notice this. I always like the number 7 because football, dealing with football, like if you got 2 touchdowns, that was 14. 3 touchdowns, that was 21. If they were kicking the extra points, not doing the 2-point conversions. There was no such thing as a 2-point conversion back in the day in the NFL. All right, so what's happening? And here, what's the change in my x's? They're going what? They're going up by 7. So can you guys see how it kind of goes up by 7? So right here, if I go up by 7, that's going to put me at a negative 7. And if I go up by 7 more, that's going to put me at a big old fat 0. So now all I got to do is just look at my gap. Look at my gaps in my y's. What's happening to go from a negative 54 to a negative 40? What's happening? It looks like I am adding 14. Now, if that doesn't make sense, it's okay. Just make sure you guys know it makes sense. Ready? If I'm at negative 54 and I add 14, what do I get to? I get to negative 40. If I go from negative 40 to negative 26, I'm adding 14. So what do I have to do to this negative 26? I got to add another what? Add another 14. And what is that going to put me at? It's going to put me at a negative 12. And then I got to add one more 14. And that's going to put me at a 2. So I feel pretty confident that my y-intercept is going to be a 2. And if I just keep doing the pattern, these were going, what, up by 7. These are going up by 14. If that doesn't make sense, hopefully you see that if I just keep adding 14, I get to a negative 26. I add 14. I get to a negative 12. I add 14. I get to a 2. So now I feel pretty confident of typing in a what? A 0 and a 2. So I'm going to type in a 0. I'll type in a 2. There we go. Okay. Let's look at this one. Now this one says find the what? Find the x-intercept. Now the x-intercept is different than the y-intercept. The x-intercept is when the y value is equal to 0. So do you guys see how the y's are decreasing right here? So we're just gonna finish the pattern. This is very, very, very easy. You don't have to do a whole bunch of complicated math. You don't have to use Desmos. It's very easy if you see the pattern. So we're at a 40, right? And then we're going down to a 30. And then we're going down to a 20. And then what are we going to go down to? If you're at home watching this, hopefully you'll know we're going down to a what? A 10. And then we're going to go down to a what? 0. And that's what we're trying to do. If we're trying to find the x-intercept, what is your y value always equal to? It's always equal to a 0. So now we just got to figure out what's happening here. Because these are going what? These are going down by 10s. That's the gap. They're going down by 10s. What are these doing? They're going up. How much are they going up by? What's the gap between a negative 38 and a 23? It's going up by 15. Ooh, and what's the gap between a negative 23 and an 8? That's also a 15. If you don't know how to find a gap, here's all you got to do. To find a gap, you just take like the smaller number, which is a negative 8, and you subtract the larger number, which was a negative, what was it, 23? And you see you get a 15. All right? So just take the smaller number, subtract the bigger number. Take the smaller number, subtract the bigger number. So what do I have to do? I have to add a 15. So negative 8 plus 15 is 7. And then what do I have to do? One more thing. I have to add another what? Add another 15 to it, and I get 22. So I feel pretty confident this is going to be 22, 0. Okay? So let's make sure you understand what we did there. We were at what are we going to do? We were at a negative 8. And what are we going to add? We're going to add a 15, and we got to a 7. Then we got to add one more 15, and we get a 22. So we just got to finish the pattern. So what do we call that? We call that our x-intercept, and it's when our y value is equal to 0. So this is just a little part 2 First video we just did in Desmos. This one we're doing it by hand because we felt a little guilty. All right, so 22, 0. And that's all you got to do. All right. If you mess up, to see where it says step-by-step solution, and they kind of showed you a graph right here. It looks like they did the same table as we did. All right, adding 15, taking away 10, adding 15, taking away 10 till we get to what? Rx intercept. Hope that was helpful. It was only 5 minutes. Have a good day.